Run. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. That is how you should start the day, right?
Let's hit it.
It's like, it indicates you're ready to rock and roll. So here we are. We're accelerating today.
We're accelerating.
Like every Monday morning, we're here to show you, help describe to you the things that you can use to accelerate. Yeah, it's called acceleration for a reason. How to go faster, and it's interesting. Today we're going to talk about very specifically how you structure a deal to achieve your goals. And if you don't mind, I had a conversation the other day with an advisor here at First Financial, and they're talking, and the conversation was a lot of things, but it's like, it was goals. It's like, well, here's what I want to do. And so we go through this process that's like mapping things out. And before we get into a couple details, let's just talk about a bigger picture here, because let's say if you want to go out and make a good amount of money, regardless of what you do, you can go out and most anything and work really hard and make a good amount of money. But a lot of people find what we do attractive because they don't mind working hard for a while, but it's nice that we have
something to show for it. You have something that keeps yielding you a return with your portfolio. Oh, like an asset. Interesting.
Like an asset.
So your portfolio is an asset because it yields you a continuous return.
Exactly. Right. So this is a weird game.
Yeah.
This Visa MasterCard world is a weird game because it's for it's like, if you want to work really hard so you don't have to work very hard, this is your game.
Right.
But the trick is, if you go, well, I just don't want to work very hard, right? Or I don't want to be very aggressive and I want to string this out forever. Well, you can do that too, but it's really set up cool for where it exists. It's not set up for this, just happens to be for somebody who wants to get really aggressive at it and then have a lot of freedom and flexibility in the world.
Right.
So here's just real quick. Here's what I went through with the guy. So it's like the question was, what is it? You were just talking dollars and cents, not necessarily lifestyle, but kind of some lifestyle. Because he's going, well, I want to make $100,000 a year. Can we get a better marker?
Try this one.
Thank you. That one will make sure it hits the garbage. There we go.
All right.
Now we're serious about it. I want to make $100,000 a year, which is a common thing. We heard that a lot from folks.
Our focus.
Yeah, I think our focus is off there, cameraman.
We weren't able to get the other stuff in.
There we go.
There we go. Coming back. All right, so 100K is, and to credit to, I mean, when you're making $100,000 a year, especially as an independent rep, I mean, you are truly a professional. I mean, that's professional income, and it's easier to grow from 100 grand a year than it is from 20. So when you get here, it opens the doors to a lot of other things too.
Well, yeah, especially if you're, because what this guy wants to do is make $100,000 a year, and like without having to work anymore. So 100,000 a residual, and the question we always ask is, well, okay, how long do you want to? How long do you want it to take you?
Right.
And he said 5 years.
Okay.
It's like, okay, well that's so let's just cue this up, because this is not, we don't have a magic bean, this is Jack and the Beanstalk and a magic, and this is real.
Right.
So the question is, how do you make $100,000 a year in 5 years and it be all residual income? Now you can't just go, I just want to do that. And you can read the book, The Secret, and you can dream all you want about that and the power of attraction. Well, the part that The Secret fails to talk about is the whole other half of the book that isn't there, which is how to do it.
Right.
It's not just going to show up.
Right.
Yes, if you imagine good things will come and all that kind of thing. That works, but you really want it. If you really want it, you gotta get after it and get it. Right. Anyway, so $100,000 a year, and that's residual income, 5 years. And so, okay, if you want that, then that represents, well, let's pencil it out, because
go ahead.
The average person in this business will write how many accounts a month?
Full-time person?
Full-time person.
8 to 12.
Okay, let's say 8.
Right.
So the average person in this business goes out and writes 8 to 12. We'll go on the low side, 8. And let's say so 8 accounts a month. So that's, if you worked every day, all year round, that would be 96. Okay, so 96 accounts. But let's say you're not. Let's say you bring on I don't know, let's say you bring on 80.
Mhm.
Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got 2 months off. Is it okay? So let's say the other 10 months, you're really going about it like crazy.
Right.
So you're going to write 80 accounts a year. So 80 accounts a year at what, let's say $40 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is that? 0, 0, 32. At the end of the year, you've got, so this is how much money
Per month.
per
At the
month.
end of the year, you have $3,200 a month in residuals coming in.
Exactly.
Right.
So at 12 months, that's 32,000 plus 6,400. So $38,400. So you're giving yourself, is this right?
Mm-hmm.
A raise of $38,400 per year for every 10 months out of the year that you work full time. Right. Okay. So
obviously in this scenario, doing this, it's not going to take 5 years. It's going to take a hair over 3.
Right. It's going to take a hair over 3.
Right.
But let's say some people are going to die, some are going to go to business.
You have attrition.
Yeah, maybe you want to makes less than, maybe you want to take more than 2 months off. Let's say that you don't. But let's just say that you're right. So after 5 years, you know, what is this? 0, 0, 0 to 42.
I'm in finance. You're getting.
Yeah, I don't know, 15, 19, 192,000. But let's just say it's only $100,000.
Right.
Let's just say you wanted to stretch it out for 5 years. But it's an interesting thing, regardless of it's 192,000 or 100,000 or whatever, 150,000, because some people die or go out of business. That's how much you make and not have to work, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting
I just want to
concept.
make sure that I'm on the right track. So I don't have to do anything, and this money still comes in. We'll continue to pay, right?
Right.
Okay, it's like an annuity.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So,
but you know what's funny about that, and just a kind of a side note, that you know, you look at I like to keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
And number one, most people in our country don't even make $100,000 a year when they're working. Okay, so we're saying that we want to make $100,000 a year when we're not working.
Right.
And how long are you willing to? You know, how valuable is that? I guess, you know, and you think about, you know, people that, you know, I know your mom was a school teacher, and I know my grandfather worked on the railroad, and he worked 43 years of his life, 43 years, and he never made $100,000 a year.
Right.
But his pension when he retired was like $2,800 a month.
Right.
I mean, so what we're saying is, okay, this guy devoted 43 years of his life, you know, shoveling coal in the old days, and then running the train, and you know, as things advanced. But we're saying, okay, how can we do this in 5 years or less and actually make this kind of money when we're not working? So the trick is how do we get a lot of these?
Right.
What's
a trick?
Right. So how do we figure that out to get there?
Probably not a trick, but you've got to go, okay.
You got to understand how to get there.
Right. So we're going to break down
a deal.
Yeah, we're going to break down a deal, because this is made up 80 deals a month times 5 years. Where this is 400. This means 400 accounts.
Right.
Right. So this means 400 accounts over the course of 5 years. Well, that's great and wonderful and fun to say.
Right.
But the magic of being able to actually do it on a per deal basis.
Right.
It's like building a building. You know, it's great to look at, but you know, somebody had to lay the bricks.
Right.
Somebody had to lay the bricks, and in this case, it's you.
Right.
You've got to lay the bricks and pound the nails. And
before any of that was done, there had to be an understanding. So before you can, you know, someone's got to understand the engineering behind it and understand the things that have to be done, and then the action has to happen. So let's understand the engineering behind it, and then we'll create the action to make it happen.
Right, exactly. So also this is a 5 year. This is assuming too, or what we're not assuming, but we're not taking into account how much money you need to make every week, every month.
Right, because you have to fund it.
Right, you have to fund that, and that's the trick or the magic.
Right.
You know, there's the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, and they call him a Mahiko.
Yeah.
A Mahiko is somebody who can take nothing and make something.
Right.
And that's what this is.
Right.
So you've got to be resourceful and somewhat clever. You know, you've got to be able to, and this will come over time. Right now we have a full staff of people, right? Full staff of people that have been down this road thousands of times, and we can show you on every one how to do it. So you need to make enough money every month. So let's
pencil a deal.
Go back.
Okay.
So if I'm writing like you said, 8 to 12, but let's say 8.
Right.
8, let's say 2 a week, because that's about 9, right?
Yep.
So let's go with 9 because that's about 2 a week.
Okay.
So if I'm going to do 9 accounts a month,
right.
So approximately 2 a week. How much money, if I'm doing that, what am I thinking? What am I shooting for per account to be able to make enough money to sustain me to every year to give me that more and more and more residual income?
Well, I think on a bare minimum, you should look at, I need to make on average, because accounts fluctuate. I mean, you get big accounts, you get little accounts, you get everything in between. I think on average, you need to make at least $500 a deal.
Okay.
That's what I need to average per deal over the course of a month.
Okay, so 500 an account.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so big deals, little deals.
Yeah. Well, let's take an average deal.
Okay, let's look at an average deal.
So we figure an average deal, when we get the statements from the merchant, an average deal has $130 worth of profit in it per month. That's when we get it.
Okay, so we look at statements and there's all this stuff on there.
Right.
So the merchant has a statement and they pay 1 point whatever 77,000.
Because there's so many different ways that's priced. So you gotta, and this is something that your director will be able to go through it and basically find the money. Go, where's the money in this deal? Because sometimes you might get one part of it that looks really cheap, and they go, God, we can't touch that. But once you dig into the statement, you go, oh, look at all these other things. It's hugely profitable. So if you run on average, when we look at the statements and we go, okay, we're starting this deal out, we have $130 a month worth of revenue to work with.
Okay, so meaning there's $130 a month
as it stands when we get it in profit when we get it.
They're processing with ABC Bank,
right?
And we're looking at it and we go, okay, we run the numbers to go, okay, based on what cost is, and they're doing, what's the average merchant do? How much per month?
13,700 something.
13,700 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever done this before?
No, not at all.
Okay, $13,700, which means the company that's processing the transactions now is making $130 a month.
Right.
And then they've got some kind of credit card terminal, right?
Right.
This is my version of that's not bad.
That's not too bad.
This is a screen. This is where it plugs into the wall.
Right.
There's power, and here's the phone line.
Right.
There's the wall. Okay. So we've got there's always two sides of the deal, right?
Right.
Equipment and service.
Right.
So I've got the service side, which is the banking side,
right,
and the equipment side.
Right. So we want to look at two things. One, we know there's opportunity here because we know there's $130 a month in it. So there's something we can do for the merchant to entice them to switch over. And a lot of times you'll find that it's not necessarily a savings thing. They might have service issues. They can't get a hold of the person, or their statement's always wrong. They don't understand. So you want to ask a lot of questions. Don't just go in and go, oh man, there's $130 a month. Let's just cut it in half and we're going to, no. Because you remember, we're in that whole residual game, that $40 a month. We want to maintain as close to that as possible. So when you look at this, you go, okay, let me ask the right questions here. What do you like? What are things you don't like? Find that out. But here's a great opportunity to bring in a lot of revenue up front, especially with all the things that we're talking about. I think last week we talked about leasing. The week prior to that, or even last week.
Chip and pin.
Yeah,
PCI,
chip and pin, PCI. So there's a lot of things happening in the industry, and I'm going to recant something I said last week when I said, look at the terminal. If you can slide the card into the bottom of the terminal, that means they're chip and pin compatible. Well, one of our advisors out in the field called me right away that afternoon. He's like, hey, dude, look. That's not necessarily the case, because a lot of these terminals, they're manufactured in, the cases come from Europe, and they have in the end, you can slide the card in, but the innards of the terminal aren't chip and pin compatible. So you wanted to ask a couple questions, but you want to find out. So we asked good questions about the terminal. Maybe it's the 7 key sticks. That was always our we'd ask, So find out about the equipment, because what we need to do is I need to figure out, because I know I get a conversion bonus of something here. The more revenue I leave in the deal, the higher my conversion bonus. So the less money I save them, the higher my conversion bonus.
Right, because right now there's $65. If we just rolled it over.
Right, yeah, if we just rolled this over.
You make $65 a month on the deal, right?
Right, yeah, so if we rolled it over, we made 65, but more importantly, because I understand that, residuals take time to fill in. So I need upfront capital to keep building my portfolio. So you have to look at this a couple different ways. I want to maintain as much residuals here, and the more residuals I maintain in it, then the more conversion bonus I'm going to get up front, because the conversion bonus is based on profitability. So if I cut this in half, my conversion bonus is, let's say if I cut this in half for the merchant, I'm going to make maybe $180 up front. If I left it here, I'm going to make 300. So I can almost make double. Yeah, so we need to think about that. So also, I'm going to get revenue here, but I'm going to get revenue here on an equipment sale or lease. And we always pitch leasing first. And we'll talk about that real quick, even though we covered it last week. So I'm looking at these two things. How do I fund my machine to build my portfolio up? So a conversion bonus, equipment. So how do I use this is kind of like, I don't know if I really call it a budget per se, but they have two factors going on. So I find out the merchant is let's pick one scenario. Let's ride one pony in on this deal. The merchant says, look, I want to save a little money on my processing. All in all, I'm pretty happy with what I have, but I like you. You know, we built a great relationship. I do want to save a little money. Okay, so I need to do something here. But then after some discovery, we find out that the merchant is not ready for chip and pin. Okay, and this is a common thing. You're going to see this all over today.
Like right now.
Today. It's huge today. So okay, so I have two things. I want to save them a little money, and I want to sell them or lease them a terminal. So what I like to do is I like to go in and go, I understand what I'm going to make when I lease. So I'm going to go in and I talk to the merchant. I've asked them how credit of ownership is. Credit's good. I know if I go in on this terminal, which right now with chip and pin terminals, we're leasing between $39 to $49.95 a month. Okay, so we're going to run. We have the calculator, and you can go if you go online to your on the equipment cost is what, $225.
So we went right in the middle.
Yeah,
that's $45.
Right. So
somewhere between $39 and $49. So we went right in the middle. So this is going to be give or take average.
Right. So let's say if the merchant says, hey, been in business 5 years, I've got great credit. At $45 a month, you're looking about $600.
Right.
Excuse me, worth of lease.
Right, between $600 and let's say $600.
600. Yeah. So we have $600. We have an opportunity to lease them a terminal, make $600. Okay. So what I like to do, if I'm leasing this terminal at $39 or let's say $45 a month.
Well, the numbers we used were at 45.
Yeah, right? $45. So I go in at 45. What I like to do is, because I really want to get them excited about the lease. And what I like to do is I like to go in and show them so I can relieve $45 from here. So I can go, okay, I know there's $130 a month profit in this deal as it sits before I get my hands, before we roll it over. So if I can lower this $45, I still maintain $85 a month worth of profit, which this is going to yield about a 200 to 250 conversion bonus. So I'm making 200, let's say 225, just we'll cut it in the middle. So I'm making 225 in conversion bonus. I've saved them enough to cover their lease payment. And that's an easy one to show the merchant. We can quantify in the statement, go, look, I'm saving you enough. So you're basically getting this terminal for free. Okay, because you're paying less in fees. Granted, you have a $45 a month lease, but it all levels out. You're still paying the same amount that you were before, except now you're getting a brand new piece of equipment that you're chip and pin ready.
Right.
So, because eventually what's going to happen is if you're not chip and pin ready, it's going to cost you more than $130, or it's going to cost you more than what you're paying. So now, if I can add these up, so I have the lease and this, I've made $825 on one deal. Okay, and this is what funds me to go out and get another one. If I'm not making, if I give this away and there's no money there, and I give the terminal away, I go, oh, well, my cost is $250. I'm going to sell it to you for $251. Then what's happening is that I can't fund my growth. So you have to look at it that way. This is one scenario. So let's take the next scenario where maybe the guy is chip and pin ready. And maybe that, there's less than this in the deal, and I'm only going to make $150 on the conversion. I'm still in the neighborhood of that $500 average per deal.
So let's run that. So let's do that in a little more detail. So what we do? There's still so we are doing a terminal.
Yeah. So the terminal's out of the equation.
All right. So we keep existing equipment. That's now we just keep it. We're going to reprogram it.
Right.
Okay. And then what do we do?
So here we come into a scenario where the guy's going, look, I'm happy as heck with my service, but boy, I'd love to save some money. You know, what I might do here is I might have to save them. On average, you're going to save them $50 in this scenario. Okay. Really, that's what's going to happen. Is you're going to go in because you have to.
So we're saving him $600 a year. So he has the same deal. He's got his same equipment.
Everything.
Just uses us, and at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, he's got $600 for champagne.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of champagne. So you figure, okay, $600, we're saving the guy a year. So that's bringing our 130 profit down to $80 a month. And, you know, we get half as an advisor. So that's where you come to that $40 a month revenue.
Right.
And in this scenario, you're going to make about $225 in conversion bonus.
Right. So there's $225 there.
Right. So we have deal one. We made $825 plus our $225. So where are we at? We're at $950.
04. We're at 1,040.
Oh, 1,040. See, I'm glad I'm in.
So you're making $1,000 a week. So you're $1,000 a week. You're only working 10 months out of the year.
Right.
You know, so however many weeks that is. But so if depending on how aggressive you want to go about it, it's like how soon do you want to get to your 100,000, whatever your goal is. But you got to be able to fund it up front. But look at any business. You know, any business is like that. How do you fund growth? And that's the key. And that's why when you run into these opportunities where there's equipment scenario and you have this scenario where there's $130, you have to build in leases on this stuff. And I can't lease this to the merchant for $45 a month when he goes, well, how much is it to buy it? And I say $300. You know, you have to understand that you are in this for profit. You're here to make a living. You're here to grow your 100,000. I like your Shark Tank example from last week.
Yeah.
Where basically Chuck was saying if you go into Shark Tank and everybody wants to show, right? Yeah. Pitching the deal, like, well, you know, I make 10% profit on everything. It's like the sharks have no interest. There's no value in that
because
business.
You can't grow only making 10%. You can't fund to growth to do that. So you have to, you know, they want 3 times, you know, 3-4 times.
Right. A good business, you're going to make 3-4 times your cost. So remember, you know, these are things that they don't teach you in so many places in business school and life.
Right. Exactly.
Well, life does. Life teaches you this if you're really looking at it. Whatever your cost is, if you can't get 3 or 4 times, look at something else. Yeah,
because you can't make it. And what you'll find, when you're living this and you're really doing it and you're getting your 2 to 3 deals a week, is that eventually what happens is that your residuals grow to the point where you need less upfront money to fund your deal, and then you can get really aggressive because you can cut deals, if you will. And let me give you a good example. You have somebody who's brand new in the industry and they're working hard to fund their deal. And then you have someone that's been doing it who's really making that $100,000 a year in their deal.
Let's say they have 300 accounts. They're making $12,000 a month.
A month in residuals. So you're going head to head with someone like that. And you're going, hey, I can do this for you. And this person that's making $12,000 a month is going, hey, you know what? I'll just give you the terminal, because they know they're going to recoup their cost. But when you're new, that's really hard to do. So that's why every scenario you look at, you need to, it's kind of like you got to be patient and go, okay, you got to be aggressive and you got to be on it, because time waits for no one. But you have to, whenever you get that opportunity to maximize your income, you have to jump on it. And you can't win if you don't enter, kind of thing. If you don't ask for the lease, they're not going to offer the lease from you. So
because they're not going to know.
Well, right, they're
not going to know. I mean, they hear all kinds of things.
Sure.
Like, well, chip and pin or PCI. They don't really know what it means.
Right.
They get all kinds of misinformation. So you're there to set it straight.
Right.
And most of the competition doesn't understand it either.
Right.
They're frantically running around grasping at straws, trying to figure things. They don't want to figure things out. They just want to get the deal no matter what it takes.
Right.
So you're here, the voice of reason, that has a lot of, and we've got a lot of knowledge here, up to date industry stuff. Anyway, that we can make sure that your client, your merchant, gets the right stuff. But like Chuck's saying, on each deal, one of the things, if you just get statements and go, I want to save them as much. They're a friend. I want to save as much as I can. Well, that's.
But let me, because we hear that a lot. Well, they're a friend. I want to give it away to them. And I go, okay, so let's strip that away just for a second. Okay. So in my opinion, and I know the world may not care, but in my opinion, the best thing for me to do to a friend is I'm getting their account, is that I need to make enough money doing this that I can be here 5 years down the road when my friend's needs change. When things happen in my friend's business, they change, they want a new account, they want something else. If I can't make enough money to survive long enough, then I'm not really doing my friend any justice. I mean, I'm not there to service their account. So when I go to my friend and I see there's $130 profit in the deal, I can sleep very well at night when I save my friend $600 a year.
Yeah.
No problem. I've saved my friend $600 a year. It allows me to generate revenue so I can continue doing this and become an expert, and then be there when my friend really needs me. Not just kiss you on the cheek and go, hey, I can't help you again. You got problems or you got
hey, I'm not
questions?
doing that anymore.
I'm not doing that anymore. I mean,
do it right.
Do it right.
Do it right.
Yeah.
Do the first one right, and do the 600th one right.
Yeah, right.
Just do it all right. And so every deal that you get, you want to ask it, you kind of look at it and go, okay. And if you're new, or if you're new, whatever, if you're new, you've done this forever, you always want to ask, well, what is it? What's in it?
Right.
And
what opportunities lie in this deal, especially equipment?
And like Chuck said up front, it's like, all right, ask him some good questions. Like, hey, how do you like your existing service? If you could change something, what would it be?
Right.
How do you like your terminals? Some people will change terminals because I've heard, not all the time, but sometimes you hear, merchants just, they see all the terminals that are out there. They go, maybe they've got an old one. They've got a nice, sweet little office, and they've got this old-fashioned terminal, and they see other places out there that are not nearly as cool of a business, and they've got something up to speed and fast, and they wonder why they don't have it.
Well, and the example I've always used in that scenario is like, let's look at, like, I know the iPhone 6 came out, and I have a good buddy of mine. He's a big Apple fan, and he's had iPhones all along, and he's got an iPhone 5S or whatever it is. I'm not that up to speed on it, but he's just going, man, I can't wait till my iPhone 6 gets in. And I go, what was wrong with your old one? And he goes, nothing. But I want the new one. So we've all done it. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. We all go out and buy another watch. Well, I got 5 other watches. Why do I need another one? Oh, because that one looks really cool. I saw another guy wearing it and I love it. So that's how it is. So I needed this. I need a new computer.
So somebody needs a new one of those.
Here.
Yeah.
It's no different.
How much are those? I mean, if you're going to lease it, we $49, right?
Right.
$39, $49, which. Is that a lot for somebody in business?
Well, no. I mean, well, obviously, it's $1.20 a day or whatever the number is. I don't know. You can figure the numbers out. But
it's less than that watch I know that you're wearing right there.
Yeah, I think quite a bit less than the watch. So you buy a lot of terminals with that watch. So understand, you gotta think through that. And I guess a lot of that comes with just understanding a little bit of human nature too.
That's true. And when you get a deal. When you get a deal and you get statements, you want to ask it. You want to watch our stuff. Watch Chuck does a great sales process video, and it's all about discovery. I mean, the big thing is discovery. So you got to ask these questions. So then when you send your statements over here and you have that cover sheet that asks about equipment, this is what, now you know why.
Because if you don't ask the questions, how are you going to build value? That's the thing, because otherwise you're just telling. But if I ask all the right questions, and then I can show the value of having a new terminal.
Well, and it makes the difference too between making $225 and $825 or anything at all.
Right.
Even getting the deal. Because I mean, if you back this up to when we first started, why are you doing this? Because after 5 years,
I want to be at $100,000 a year.
I want to make $100,000 a year. And we penciled it out. It actually means a lot more. But let's just say it's only $100,000.
Right.
And how many people do you know that make $100,000 a year and not have to work?
Well, not many.
No, I mean they're almost nobody. Right. And this is the kind of stuff that if you're an investor, you want to buy this. It's return on investment. And this stuff you can't buy.
Right.
But we have the opportunity to go at like sweat equity. Man, we can build this. They're all over. Yeah. But there's per Visa, there's 29 million merchants in America today. 7 million already accept cards.
Right.
And there's 750,000 new businesses opening up every year. But those that accept cards, they already have profit.
Right.
And they already have terminals. And right now, maybe not a year from now or a year and a half or 2 years from now, but right now is a cool window that popped open because of all the fraud that's going on in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank God for fraud, or we wouldn't have this opportunity. You know what? But there's a, look for opportunity. I mean, fraud, I'm kidding, but this fraud is bad, and it's cost everybody a lot of money, but it's given something that's really important today in helping you build that 100 grand. I mean, if you're not going to do it now, this window's going to close. Well,
it will. It's again kind of funny. As what Oscar Schindler, I was watching that movie, and he was talking to his wife, and he goes, the greatest thing is happening for me to build wealth now. And she goes, what is it, luck? And he says, no, war. So you got to understand. I mean, the fraud is the war. So what we need to do is take that opportunity, and plus, you need to protect the merchant. If they're not running protected, I mean, you really want to help your friend out? Look, dude, you're wide open here. You don't want to run wide open. You need to protect yourself. And even in this scenario, we talked about, there's 20 million merchants that even don't take credit cards yet. Look at all the opportunity there. And for a new business startup, it's not a big deal to pay $50 a month for a new terminal in service. No. That's right in line, because what, 60% or 60 to 80% of a merchant's revenue is going to come from credit card.
Right, and more all the time.
And more all the time. We're becoming cashless. Right. So, it's just understand. I mean, you want your terminal, you can wave your phone over. We don't need no cards. So these aren't the droids. Way to say it. Yeah, these aren't the droids you're looking for. So understand, there's huge if you do it right, and this will fund you to build your portfolio. And you talk about return on investment. Is you're making a good amount of money up front, making $1,000 a week to build something in a 3-year period where you're making over 100 grand a year in residual income. That is a good living. And you know what? It's got long legs on it. Yeah. It's not a flash and pan kind of thing. It's like when you build that portfolio, you're going to yield a good amount of revenue for a long time, especially if you're taking care of the merchants, you're supporting them, you're, letting them know that you're still doing this so they don't go anywhere. You can set one heck of a framework for yourself. And you know what? You can do it in a real short period of time. Something my grandfather couldn't do after 43 years in one career on the railroad. So
I don't know where, or even today.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? And in 3, 4, 5 years, have $100,000 a year coming in, you don't have to work for it.
Well, and you know what, I challenge you to ask yourselves this question, and I tell all new agents or advisors to ask themselves this question. The last career that you had, or the career that you may be doing now, and you're subsidizing it with this stuff, when you stop doing whatever you're doing today or whatever you've done in the past, how much money did you bring in from your last job when you quit or when they let you go? How much did you bring in? And I would imagine for 99.9% of the people, it's zero. This deal, when you decide to hang up the old Visa, MasterCard Spurs, which you probably won't because you get addicted to it and you have a machine bill, but when you hang it up, you're still yielding a monthly revenue, which is a hard thing to find out there. So build your asset and use your tools, use everything available to you to do that. And you'll have a little different lifestyle.
A lot different lifestyle.
Cool.
So use us. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya. We off? We're off. We're on.